I have $40,000 in credit card debt. 40. So let's talk about it. If we rewind all the way back to about 19 or 20-year-old Lana, that is when my journey with credit card debt began. I was 19 years old and I was dating a man who was 31, and he did not support me or help me financially in any way, and I was trying to live his lifestyle off my minimum wage job, and I was living outside my means, to be quite frank. I got myself into credit card debt. I stayed in credit card debt until I was about 21, at which point I was able to pay it off over the course of just like really cutting back and being very diligent about making as many extra payments as I could to my debt. And then I got out of it and I was like, oh my gosh, that's the most freeing thing. I'm never doing that again. And then I did. And then I paid that debt off. And you know what? I repeated the cycle again. I'm in my third cycle of credit card debt. And at this point, my threshold has just gotten so big. Your threshold for debt increases with time, right? It's just like your threshold for anything else that creates stress in your life. Over time, your body has to adapt to the current conditions. So your threshold for what it can hold expands. So right now, the number 40 probably feels staggering to some of you.
Let me tell you a story about how I landed myself in $15,000 worth of high interest debt because I couldn't stop impulse spending. So when I was in university, I obviously didn't have a lot of money like most students don't. I had student loans and I decided to take out a $10,000 line of credit to help me with some of my expenses during the school year. And I thought, oh, no big deal. I'll just use like $1,000 of this line of credit and I'll pay it back when the semester's over and I can work more. But it only took me 2 months to max out that $10,000 line of credit because I just couldn't stop impulse spending. So what the heck did I even buy? Like, how did I max out $10,000 in like 2 months? I was buying plane tickets. I was buying new clothes. I was buying home decor items from HomeSense. I was going out for dinner and drinks with my friends. The list goes on. I truly didn't even know what I was buying most of the time. Eventually, I also maxed out my credit card, resulting in $15,000 of high interest debt. Yay. Oh, did I forget to mention that I had undiagnosed ADHD at this point? That's a crucial part of the story. I was so embarrassed by this and I felt like I had to hide this struggle from everyone. None of my friends seemed to be struggling the way I was struggling, so all I could think was, what is wrong with me? So what was the issue? How did I end up in so much debt in such a short period of time? It wasn't the fact that I was spending money or that I didn't make enough money. It was that I was spending outside of my means and I was spending out of control.
So, my husband and I are $60,000 in debt. Okay.
Part of the problem. You are.
Let me explain how we got here. In June of 2022, we had a good amount of savings and decided that our home that we've been living in for a couple years just needed some maintenance and some upgrades. You can see behind me, we live in like a very normal house, but there were some things like on the outside where our stucco was falling off, so we needed to have that repaired. We had our house painted, we upgraded our bathroom a little bit, and also decided to pay off my husband's private student loan because the interest is not great. And so we had plenty of savings and we decided to just drain those bad boys. We both had really stable jobs. We would be able to squirrel away some money over time and build back up our savings again. 2 weeks later, unexpectedly, I was laid off from my job. And I'm the breadwinner of our household, so it did not go well. I was unemployed for about 7 months. Thank goodness I had social media to keep us afloat for a little bit, but here's the deal. We had to put a lot of stuff on credit card to be able to keep ourselves afloat. So anything that could go on a credit card went on a credit card. And that allowed my husband's income to pay for our mortgage, our car payments, our daycare, things like that. But everything else went on a credit card. We cut back as much as we could, but there's still a lot of expenses. We finally decided to do a debt consolidation loan, and it's about $65,000.
Okay, I wanted to answer this question about how I got into $15,000 worth of credit card debt because I've been getting it a lot. I feel like some people are going to be like, this is basic knowledge, but to me, it wasn't basic knowledge, which is why I wish someone drilled this into my brain and I actually listened. The first is I had zero financial literacy at all. My family never talked about money. I come from a super poor single mom family and money just wasn't ever talked about because we had none of it. And I never took any classes in high school that taught you about finances. I don't even know if there were any. The next is that I always considered my available credit as money that I could spend or money that I had. I distinctly remember buying like a laptop and furniture because I was like, oh, I don't have the money on my debit card, but I have it on my credit card so I can spend it. Which looking back is ridiculous, but back then it felt like free money. I always only paid the minimum payments on my credit cards. Whether it was like $100 or $25, I was like, okay, as long as I do that, I'm fine. When it really clicked for me was when my financial advisor told me that if I continued paying $150 on each card, it would take me 9 years and $17,000 worth of pure interest to pay it off. It would cost me $17,000. But if I increased my payments to $350 and $450, it would take me 1 year and it would only cost me $3,000 in interest, which is so much of a difference. And that's when I was like, okay, I need to get my shit together. Another is that I always increased my credit card limits when I was offered it, which is basically just a big trick because they know you're gonna fuck up. So I'd increase the limit, spend all the way up until that new limit, and then I just maxed out more money. And the last one is I just swiped carelessly. I never cared what I spent it on. I just always spent money on it because to me, it was just money that I had, even though it was not money I had. I can't believe I'm even admitting this stuff because looking back, it feels so dumb. Even to my financial advisor, I was so embarrassed to tell him this. And I'm absolutely certain that some of the reactions I'm going to get are not going to be kind, but I think there needs to be way more financial transparency around people who don't know shit about money like me.
When I turned 18, I decided that I wanted to get a credit card because I wanted to build my credit. And I don't know, I just thought when you turn 18, like I'm an adult now, I'm supposed to have a credit card. I remember applying for one with my bank that I'd been with since I was 13, Barclays. I think I just applied online and I got given like a £400 limit. I think it was like the Barclays card essential, like it's just a starter one. At this time I worked at Waitrose part-time. I'd been there since I was 16. So I'd been there for 2 years. I was only working 2 days a week. I think it was like 10-hour contracts. I was managing that card fine. I was paying it off every month. I had a 0% purchase offer, I believe, for like 6 or 12 months. Then because I was managing the card well, I started getting offers in the post for new credit cards. And I started applying for them because I was like, wow, my credit score's doing really well. Let me just apply for another credit card. What happened was I started accepting these new cards and I basically was paying them back all fine. And then I basically went through a really, really crappy breakup with my ex-boyfriend and I just started spending recklessly. I wouldn't just blame it on the breakup. I had bad spending habits and have done from a very young age. And I feel like it's a response to when you don't grow up with money and then you suddenly have all this money and I did not know what to do with it. So I was spending every month. And then it got to the point where all of my offers had run out and then I had to pay the money back. But then my minimum payments were way higher than what I was earning each month. And it just got completely out of control. Barclays ended up giving me a £10,000 credit limit at one point, or 5,000. But eventually I ended up I had 8 cards in the end, which is insane. So I think I had access to, I don't know, like 25k worth of credit at the age of like 19, 20. And I just couldn't afford to do the minimum payments. The interest was stacking up. It was a very, very, very stupid and costly mistake on my behalf.
Credit cards were supposed to be a financial tool, but somehow they became a lifestyle. We went from using them for emergencies to using them for everything. And now most people don't even blink when they are drowning in debt. It's normal to be broke, normal to carry balances, normal to be stuck in a cycle of minimum payments and high interest. And let's be honest, is this really the life we want?
Do I have a shopping problem? Yes, and I say that with so much certainty because let me just show you what's behind me. Exhibit A, the box on the bed. I saw these online and I had to have them. So I will never be able to afford property at this point because I cannot save my money.
I did a bit of damage today on my credit card, but I thought it'd be fun to do a little haul to justify all of my purchases. If your name is Elijah and you're my boyfriend, please stop watching now.
This just damaged my bank account. Do I need all this? No, but me and my mom went shopping, so let's do a haul. I have not decorated my bathroom and my room since we moved into this house, and as you could tell, half of it's outdated.
Overconsumption, spending to impress, not to live. Let's talk about why so many people are in credit card debt, because it's not always about survival. A lot of it's about overconsumption. Social media makes us feel like we need to upgrade everything. Our clothes, our cars, our homes, our gadgets. And since we can't afford to keep up, we swipe. We pay later, but later comes with interest.
I have been financially not doing great. I am a nurse. Even though I am a nurse and I make good money, I don't have money, which is the sad part because of the choices that I've made still currently and the choices that I've made like previously, like from a couple of years. I am in credit card debt, and it's this unhealthy cycle that I have been putting myself into, and this just relationship with money has just never been something that I was talked about. Lifestyle creep is definitely a thing, and especially when you are trying to make a brand for yourself, when you're aspiring to do something that you want to do, and content creation has been something that I've always wanted to do. Being a YouTuber has always been something I want to do. I've always just wanted to be on camera. I've always just wanted to make a name for myself, whether it be like through content creation, being a YouTuber, being an entrepreneur, like whatever it may be. I always felt like I was meant to do something other than nursing. And so I think for years I have been continuously like, going with the trends and like, buying whatever everyone else buys so that like I can post about it and like, be seen. But then I get caught up with imposter syndrome of not being enough. In order for me to become someone, I guess I was influenced by everyone else around me. So if I bought the next best thing, or if I like looked a certain way by buying these clothes, then I was gonna make an image, a brand for myself. And that turned into like so many like dumb purchases like along the way that I'm like literally paying for now.
So unfortunately, I maxed out my emergency credit card, and I also tapped into your college savings plan again. But on the bright side, you will be getting this stuff in the will. So let's try it on.
This is exactly it. We prioritize looking rich over being stable. We tell ourselves it's just one purchase, but those little purchases, they add up. And trust me, when you start borrowing money to fund a lifestyle, you are not in control anymore. The hidden cost of debt is not just about the money.
Want to know the fastest way you can get into debt? Okay, I'll tell you. It's by just paying the minimum balance.
Most people don't realize how expensive debt really is. That $1,000 balance, if you only make minimum payments, you could end up paying double or even triple the original amount in interest. Yes. And the longer you carry a balance, the harder it is to get out.
I'm going to say it, and I'm saying this with love. If you cannot pay your credit card bill in full, you should not be using your credit card. I talk about double dipping and how to protect yourself using your credit card. But if you decide that you want to use your credit card daily for daily use, you should not be using it if you cannot afford to pay it off in full. If you cannot pay your credit card bill in full by the due date, that means you are in credit card debt. Now, it's not the end of the world to be in credit card debt. Trust me, it's really not, even though it feels like it. But if you're trying to move away from that, or if you're trying to start implementing some of the credit card strategies that I'm talking about, your goal will to be always to pay it in full. And if you know that you can't handle that, don't use your credit card.
This is the trap. Minimum payments make it feel like you are managing your debt, but in reality, you are just paying to stay in debt. Credit isn't designed to help you, it's designed to keep you locked in.
I'm 54, and if you're younger than me, here's some really hard financial truths that are probably going to make you uncomfortable, but they just might save you. Your dream life is possible, but not with your current financial habits. If you need a payment plan to afford it, you can't afford it. You're not saving money when you buy something on sale. You still spent, you just spent less. If you don't control your money, someone else will. And guess what? They're not going to use it in your best interest. A credit card is not an emergency fund. If you don't take the time to understand money, you will spend your life working for someone who does. Financial stress, it's self-inflicted. You can't retire on vibes and optimism. You're going to have to work until you die if you don't start investing. Your bank account reflects your choices, not your excuses. You don't believe me? Take a look. Every dollar you spend is a vote for the life that you're building. What are you voting for? Security or poverty? You don't need a financial miracle. You need financial discipline. Stop praying for money and begin managing what you have. Your future is being sold off one impulse purchase at a time, and you will never escape the cycle of being broke until you admit that you are the problem. Hope that helped.
Now, let's be clear. Credit itself isn't bad. A good credit score can open doors for you, but a credit card is not free money. The problem isn't the card, it is how we use it. This right here is the mistake so many people make. Building credit doesn't mean maxing out cards. It means using credit wisely, keeping balances low, paying on time, and not falling into the trap of thinking available credit means extra money. It doesn't. It's borrowed money, and borrowed money always comes at a cost.
Living paycheck to paycheck, living with like the credit card debt and like the afterpays and everything, like I'm done. Like I'm so done. I live within your means and only buy like if you have the money for it. Stop klarning, stop affirming, stop afterpaying, like stop just swiping the credit card, because like yeah, it may be fun like in the moment, but literally you will regret it if that stuff like just racks up and it's like years down the line and you're still paying for that purse that you bought like 4 years ago.
This is another way debt sneaks up on people. Buy now, pay later has made it too easy to spend money we don't have. It feels harmless, split your payments into 4, no big deal, right? But when you do that over and over again, suddenly half of your paycheck is going to past purchases instead of future savings. And that's how the cycle starts. Let's be real, most of us weren't taught how to handle money. Schools didn't teach us about interest rates, debt traps, or how to actually build wealth. Instead, we learned the hard way, through mistakes, through distress, through trial and error. This is why financial education is so important, because if we don't take control of our money, someone else will. The truth is, getting out of debt takes sacrifice. It means saying no to impulse spending, delaying gratification, and actually thinking long term. It means understanding the difference between needing something and wanting it. And most importantly, it means realizing that financial freedom isn't about how much you make, it's about how much you keep. So ask yourself, are you in control of your money, or is your money controlling you? Are you spending with purpose or just reacting to what the world tells you you need? Let's talk about it. Let's change the way we think about debt. We don't have to be stuck in the cycle forever. So tell me in the comments, what's the worst thing you've ever bought on credit? And do you think social media has influenced your spending habits? Let's start the conversation. So YouTube thinks you will like this video over here. And if this video helped you see things differently, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Au revoir.